Hi, I'm Christy Bilbrey, and we are going to be talking today about prospecting and one area where you can do that and get a lot of feedback in the way that you go about your messaging is through Facebook groups. And today I am joined by a special guest, Andrea Lane. And Andrea Lane is a business strategist and a virtual project manager through her business, The Creative Spring. She works with creative business owners to help them improve the way that they run and manage their businesses. She offers services that include strategy, assessments, and action plans to improve productivity, create accountability, and align tasks to their businesses and personal goals. She also offers workbooks that can be downloaded to guide them through the process of setting goals and plans, documenting business tasks, and creating standard operating procedures. And before I go on, don't you think that gives you really specific examples of exactly what she does? Well, that is no accident. So I'm going to tell you that Andrea and I are in a mastermind together, and she came into this business that she has now with a lot of experience. She previously was in a corporate setting. She's done business consulting, created efficiencies in the corporate world for several years. Then she was already in the entrepreneurial game, and she had her own wedding floral business for several years that was extremely successful, but it didn't give her the lifestyle that she needed because she has two daughters and she wanted to spend more time with them on the weekends. So she started this business, and she was finding that her messaging, right when she started up, that she thought, great, I'll just use what I was doing for the corporate world, and that's what I'm going to offer creative business owners. Well, that didn't immediately translate. And there could be some of you who might be going through something, whether you're new to business or whether you're in a plateau and you're thinking, why isn't this working anymore? Well, Andrea's going to walk us through where she was at, what she did, and it's something that I have done since I talked to her about this last week, and you guys can do too. It'll be really helpful for you. So Andrea, tell us a little bit about where you were with your business and what the obstacle was, what was happening.
Right. Thanks, Christy. So thanks for giving a really good detailed background on me, so I don't have to fill that in. So I'm about a year into this current business as a business strategist and virtual project manager. And it came about mainly because people started coming to me because they noticed how effectively I was running my business as a wedding florist. And so I said, well, hey, I could probably make this into a business that gives me a little bit more of that elusive balance that we're all looking for. So I got into this because I was able to kind of design the life that I wanted to lead. And so it's been a really interesting process. So when I met you, I think the hardest thing that I was having struggles with was what I thought was finding clients. But ultimately, when I sat in the hot seat on that mastermind call, I realized that I really wasn't speaking very real with my audience. I was using a lot of advanced terminology, a lot of MBA speak. And even the leader of the mastermind said, I don't really understand what you're doing. And I was like, whoa, that's not a good place to be, right? Like I had already created a website. I had a social media following, and how is it that she doesn't understand what I'm doing? And so that was a really scary thing to hear, but it led to a really big breakthrough. So how I came to overcome that is I started to do these little coffee dates with people. And I found them by going into some Facebook groups like the Savvy Community, a couple other ones that I'm involved in. And I just said, hey, anybody want to talk? Anybody want to meet with me? 30 minutes. No strings attached. I'm not going to sell to you. I just need to do a little bit of market research and understand kind of what it is that you face as a business owner and how all my background and expertise can actually help you. And I used all of that information that there were so many generous women that gave me that to come up with a much better way of selling my business. And
so wait, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, so when you were having these conversations, how did you lead them? What were you asking them on the calls?
Yeah, so I was really just, wanting to hear a little bit about what was causing them that heartache and stress in their business, and how that was making them feel, and why they felt like that was happening, And what I kept hearing over and over and over again is that they were working more hours than they wanted to be working. or their team wasn't as effective as they needed it to be. And sometimes their team was just 2 people. So let's just be real about that too, right? And sometimes that team member was only working like 5 hours a week for them. So it's funny when we say the word team, like what that means to people.
So true. I mean, these days with virtual assistants, that can be anything.
Yeah. And so what was interesting is I kept hearing this theme of, I feel like I'm doing so much work, but I can't really explain what all that work is and why it's taking so much time. And so I started to realize, hey, I mean, that's the problem, right? The problem isn't that, oh, I'm so I mean, some of it is there's some symptoms. They're tired and they're overwhelmed. And a lot of it stems from the fact that they're not consistent in the way that they do their activities. They don't have a lot of accountability built into their businesses. They don't have a lot of consistency amongst the tasks they do. So they do the same task differently each time, and that causes some instability. And they get distracted really, really easily because they're not focused on spending time on the things that really matter, the things that really bring in, as I like to call them, the $100 bills into their business, And so it was really interesting to kind of hear their perspective on it.
And so after you had these calls and you kind of went back to your messaging that you were using, then were you taking some of that language that they directly said? Or what was it that made kind of that transformation happen for you where you thought, oh, okay, this is what I need to be doing?
Right. So instead of saying, hey, I think you have broken processes, I started saying, hey, I think that you're spending time on things that are taking you too long and you're not doing as effectively as you should be able to do them. And it was funny because that doesn't sound that different, right? But for some reason, it really changed the way that people received the message. And I think it was just because I not only said that, but I said, I know how that feels because I've been there myself. And here's what I did to help fix it. And so I think it gets back to your storytelling in your business. I started to show some of my own vulnerability in my own story to connect them to the problem because I showed them that I understood it better and that I had solutions for them that were from experience, and I was able to share my own experiences, and that kind of helped to sell the services and products so much better.
Yeah, so guys, she, within 1 month of having these calls, using exactly what she's telling you that she did, she got a few new clients within a few weeks. So this can make a huge, huge difference. And so what would you say are the biggest takeaways that you would recommend that people do if they think, oh my gosh, this is something I should be doing in my business?
Yes, I think the first one was don't put your expertise on a pedestal. I think I was doing that because I sat there and I said, I'm trained in this. I have a degree in this. I did this in corporate for so long. I know all the right terms to use. I could teach an MBA class probably on this because I've lived it and breathed it for so long. And I spent so much time talking about the expertise and using the technical language that I wasn't really a person to them. I feel like I was almost like a talking head up there, and it sounded like something that they should be interested in. They didn't really understand it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. I think
so it was a pretty huge thing because then I started to realize in all of the messaging on my website, the way I spoke in social media, is the amount of time I spent on stories, like putting my face on there and actually talking, it made a lot of difference.
That's huge. I think that's absolutely huge. It's so easy to just kind of get in your own bubble because, I find this with online marketing. I'll say things all the time that are kind of marketing ease, but a lot of people might say, I have no idea what you're talking about. And we forget that. So I think that's really important just to break it down and make it simple because that's the way people are going to connect and say, oh, maybe I do need this. And it sounds like that was a huge turning point.
That was a huge turning point. The other thing is just being more consistent. I think that sometimes I was being technical and sometimes I was being vulnerable. And I was not showing up consistently in a lot of different places. And so I started to, trust the voice that I had kind of discovered as part of the research process. And I started using that voice in everything on the website, on social media, when I showed up in Facebook groups, when I started talking in masterminds, I feel like that also kind of connected people to what I was saying a lot better because they started to hear it more and more and more from me the same way. So they started to trust what I was saying.
Well, you are speaking my language because I think storytelling is really where it's at. That's how we really connect with other people, and that's what draws people to us. So I think, yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. That combination, like I said, guys, that really made an enormous difference in weeks, just a few weeks in her business. So make sure that you give that a try. And Andrea, let us know, you've kind of already told us in your intro the services that you do, but if there's any, package or something that you're promoting right now, we'd love to know.
Yeah, so I offer a couple different things. The two biggest ones are I offer strategy sessions. So if people just have something that they need, an issue that they need to talk through, they need some advice and some recommendations. It's kind of a quick hit sort of a thing. We get on a couple of calls and I give them a document that has some action items on it. It's a really nice little win for a lot of people, especially if they're just kind of having this one issue that keeps showing up over and over again. So that's really fun to do. And then I do some pretty larger consulting custom packages, and it's really focused on identifying roles and responsibilities and reassigning tasks to people and systems and things like that. So it can get pretty detailed, and it's not always the same. It depends on what people, what they need. So it's all customized. So yeah, and then I offer workbooks. I have a workbook that's called a process redesign workbook, and it actually takes you through the process of looking at how do you select a process that needs to be reworked, how do you document what it is, how do you convert it into something that's a little more efficient, and what are the kinds of questions you need to ask. And so I sell that in my website.
And where can people find you at?
Sure. So my website is www.thecreativespring.co, and I'm on Instagram at thecreativespring.
Great, and I will go ahead and drop those links under this video as well. And if some of you guys are watching and, maybe you are unfamiliar with how do you go about all of this, navigating Facebook groups and how to post and how you should reach out, because I know some people do that all the time, some people don't do that. And I have a product on my website that shows you how to get clients for free on Facebook groups. So I'll drop the link into that for you as well. It's just a mini course. It's less than an hour. So if you just need to get up to speed really quick, and then you can start doing exactly what Andrea was telling you to do. And I would love to know how that helps you in your business. And actually, since we spoke last week, I have been reminded that I need to be doing this as well, because I have been, quite frankly, really stuck doing a ton of stuff on the back end of my business and a lot of research for things. And so connecting with Andrea about this was a really great reminder for me. And I haven't told Andrea this, but I went after we spoke and I posted in a couple groups. And I thought it was a really innocent question about what do people think about prospecting. Turns out this is very controversial. Some people think it's a dirty word. Some people think that it's a must-have. Some people are petrified to do it. So I was able to, within a few days, set up 4 virtual coffees, 3 of which are tomorrow. So Andrea, it's been less than a week. And so I really appreciate you doing that. One of the women is actually in Japan, which is funny for Andrea because that's where she's leaving for vacation tomorrow. So tomorrow, crazy. Well, thank you, Andrea, so much for joining today. I really appreciate you sharing your tips. And guys, if you have not connected with her, I highly recommend going to her website, connecting with her on social media, and checking her out. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to this channel. And thanks for watching.